weekend, but in this particular case, we're actually talking about football. So we'll let you go first when it comes to the Redskins name debate and what you feel is the proper way to handle this.
I'm of two minds. On one hand, corporations should be able to do what they want. If Nike and FedEx want to exert pressure on the Redskins to change their name, they should be free to do that. However, it's worth noting that 95% of Native Americans, according to a recent Washington Post poll, don't find the name offensive. So it comes down to a question of who are we trying to appease here? If it's not Native Americans who are exercised and offended about this, who are we trying to appease? I happen to find the name offensive. And I think there are lots of other alternatives to names. For example, the Washington Interns, one of my favorite options. But
now we're starting to hear from the minority owners of the team saying that they want out at this point. Do you think the financial pressure might be the tipping point here or the catalyst?
I think so. I mean, consumers and corporations, that we have that's an important way that change is advocated. So I agree with my fellow panelists that I hope that the owner makes the right decision.
Alexandra, I'm curious about your thoughts in the big picture, but also where you are. What have you been seeing there?
Americans were celebrating in many places like there was not a problem, and some models estimate that it could cause up to over 2 million cases and 100,000 deaths based on these festivities alone. It's living in a democracy requires sacrifice and compromise, and that requires living in accordance with thinking of the needs of our fellow citizens. And it's interesting, we saw this play out in a micro level in our neighborhood this weekend and over the past month regarding fireworks, which is an interesting topic because it's very controversial. People are passionate about it, but it doesn't fall neatly along ideological lines. But there, on our neighborhood listserv, there's been the battle of, should we do it? When should we stop? And people's dogs are being traumatized. But it requires compromise and considering the needs and desires of other citizens beyond just our own.
So that being said, and Alexandra, I'll give you first crack at this in our final round here, and then Michael will give you the last word. Do you think that it's just become too political when it comes to the rationale for whether you wear a mask, whether you social distance with COVID? And if so, is there really any way to solve it at this point? Alexandra, what do you think?
I hate that masks have become a touchstone of the culture war. The evidence is quite clear that wearing a mask is a way to reduce the spread of the COVID-19 virus, and it's a small sacrifice we make for our fellow citizens that we should all be a part of slowing the spread in that way.